I saw two stray dogs in the woods today. I was hiking in my favorite forest, full of deciduous and conifer trees, creating a color palette that pleased my mind and soul. I was admiring the fall foliage when movement brought my attention to the trail before me. I looked and beheld two stray dogs looking at me about 100 yards away. One was white, the other brown, but I couldn't tell the breed from that distance. I casually crept closer to them, attempting to appeal to their domesticated side when they both trotted down the trail, disappearing on the other side of the rise. I picked up my pace and headed after them. Cool wind blew on my face and rustled my hair. Sunlight shot through the near-naked branches into my eyes. The sun was setting. Maybe I should call animal control. I thought at the time, if I had, I definitely wouldn't be writing this. I came over the rise and saw the two dogs, closer this time, down the trail. I glimpsed them for a moment before they skittered off trail. Despite only witnessing their fleeing, I saw just long enough to identify their breeds and to see blood on their fur. They were both large bulldogs, but I figured I would be able to escort them both back to my car easily enough. Glancing at the slanted rays beaming down on the forest floor, and decided to chance it. I know these woods, I thought to myself. But I didn't know these woods, or what is in them, as well as I thought. Following the dogs, I realized they would not be hard to track. Blood was dripping off them, smearing on low branches, and dropping onto leaf litter. I had to hurry. It was far too much blood to take things slowly. I followed the trail for a few minutes before I reached the darker-colored dog. Thankfully, it laid down in a thicket and was panting heavily. I approached it slowly, cooing gently. From my vantage point I could see the blood was not its, but it covered them. I pulled my water bottle out as it allowed me closer and dripped some on its muzzle. It licked eagerly. I poured a little more and it lapped it up out of the air. I gave it half of what was left in my bottle, then squatted down and patted its head. Its sad, tired eyes communicated more than any conversation I had had with a real person. It said he was worn out and worn down. He said he was tired of running and thankful for the break. But he said he was worried too, worried about his friend out there, and he wanted me to go find them. I tore a piece of fabric from the bottom of my red shirt and tied it on the branches above where the dog lay. I didn't expect him to run off. I continued down the blood trail in the dying light. I walked for too long. Too long if the dog losing this amount of blood was to be found alive. I almost gave up, cut my losses, and was thankful for finding just one of the dogs, when a strange call caught my attention. I pulled out my phone's flashlight and squinted into the darkness. I listened for the call again but heard nothing. Absolute silence filled the voids between the darkening trees. Their sturdy trunks, once so inviting, now pillars supporting the dark ceiling that enveloped me and all the forest with it. Then I heard the other dog whine. I started moving in its direction while its whining got louder and more urgent. The closer I got, the worse it sounded, like its throat was full of liquid. I almost stepped on the poor thing because it had hidden itself so well. I parted the briar branches away from its form and knelt down. It didn't even act like I was there. I couldn't believe it was still alive. Its back was ribbons of flesh, torn fillets falling off its spine, exposing the bone to the frigid air. I could see its back muscles twitch. There was blood and other, smaller, cuts all over its body. Beneath it, soaking the leaves it laid on, its blood was pooling. I touched it gently and again it didn't seem to register. I put both of my hands on the parts of its flesh that had the least amount of wounds and pushed, rolling it over. It revealed a cavernous opening in its belly. I gasped, seeing the torn stitches from its previous surgery. How did you get out here? I heard that strange call again, closer now. I tried to lift the poor dog off the ground, but it was too slippery and that noise kept getting closer and closer and I could barely see. I tried every way to grab that innocent animal and bring it home, at least to give it a burial. I released my weak hold on it, flopping its limbs back to the cold ground. The screech was loud now, not more than 20 feet away. I stood, lifting my light to catch a glimpse of what could be making that sound. At the edge of the light was the suggestion of a shape. I focused, trying to perceive it, to define any significant aperture of its form, but I could not. But not because it was too dark, but because that thing had no discernible features. As it got closer, all I could see was a long tubular shape, segmented like a grotesque giant caterpillar, furry with needle-like hairs coating its back and belly. It trespassed towards me, enormous black eyes reflecting my light back at me. It screeched again, deafening, which revealed its impossibly long sharp teeth, like 1,000 chopsticks jutting out from its green disgusting gums. I braced myself when it lurched its forward half into the air, ready to pounce. But at that moment, we both heard a faint, pathetic bark. It forgot about me and moved so much faster than I expected it would. It scurried through the trees and bushes with deft agility, moving its bulbous body so quickly it seemed to vibrate. I bolted after it, dodging low-hanging branches, vaulting shrubs and thickets, bulldozing through briars. The light of the full moon burst through the clouds now, illuminating the surrounding woods, pale and cold. I could see the beast surging next to me, its ridiculous movement almost laughable in the low light. The dog barked again, altering the monster-esque course, and mine with it. It moved closer to me now as we both ran. Almost side by side we were moving towards our shared goal, get to the dog first. I tried to think of what to do, anything at all that could prevent this thing from hurting and killing another innocent animal. I looked ahead and thanked the stars that I saw my solution. A large oak branch had fallen from great heights and plunged itself halfway into the ground, leaving it splintered, pointed end leaning precariously, pointing in our direction. Right before the branch, I bodied the giant worm mid-movement, smashing my shoulder into its yielding soft flesh. I knocked it off its path and its own momentum carried it right into the wooden spear. The beast's squelching flesh yielded like wet toilet paper. Pink, green, and purple oozing liquid and viscera squirted out of the beast's wound and mouth. It yowled in agony, so loud I almost regretted causing it pain. But I seized the opportunity. I continued to run towards the other bulldog. I shined my flashlight around and found the red fabric I left behind and the sweet little dog underneath it. His eyes said they were happy to see me. I gave him a sympathetic smile back and, as gently as I could, lifted him into my arms. Hot gulching noises halted our escape. In the limited moonlight, that giant worm returned, splattering its multicolored blood and viscera all over the ground beneath it. Its wounds were fatal, but it pressed on, resisting death to the very end. I squared my shoulders to it and it halted. For a fleeting moment, we stared. I wondered what this thing was, where it came from, and why on earth it would want to hurt dogs. It reared its ugly form into the air and gathered breath for its last cry. It bellowed forth a deafening screech, reverberating between the trees, making the trees shake to lose their last leaves and bounce my bones in my battered body. I held firm and mustered up as much air and strength as I could. I cried back, yelling at the top of my lungs, allowing myself indulgence into the PR.